Hello, welcome back to Dnaofbioscience. So today's topic is about the ecotone and the edge effect. So ecotone is nothing but the zone of junction, or it is the traditional area between two biomes. So the biome is a region which generally contains different types of flora and fauna on the basis of the climate and the rainfall. Okay, and ecosystem is a part of the biome. Okay, and so it consists of diverse ecosystem. It is the boundary line where two communities meet and integrate. Okay, so for example, the mangrove forest represent an ecotone between marine and terrestrial ecosystem. So if you consider two ecosystem, one is marine and the terrestrial ecosystem, then the ecotone will be the mangrove forest, which represents the ecotone between the marine and the terrestrial ecosystem. Then the second example is the grassland, which is between forest and desert, and the estuary between freshwater and saltwater, and river bank or marshland between dry and wet. Okay, so you need to remember these things. First, this one, the marshland is between the dry and wet, then the mangrove is between terrestrial and the marine, and estuary is between freshwater and saltwater, and the grassland is between forest and desert. Okay, then next comes is about the characteristics of ecotone. So it could be narrow, that is between the grassland and the forest, or wide, that is between the forest and the desert, or it may be local, that is between the field and the forest, or could be regional, that is the zone between forest and the grassland ecosystem. As it is a zone of transition, it has conditions intermediate to the adjacent ecosystem. So as I said, it is the transition or the intermediate stage. So it contains, the intermediate stage contains both the conditions. It has condition intermediate to the adjacent ecosystem. Okay, it may also include a number of highly adaptable species that tend to colonize. Okay, it may contains the adaptable species which have the tendency to colonize in a area. Okay, hence it is a zone of tension. Usually the number and the population density of the species of an outgoing community decreases as we move away from community or ecosystem. Obviously, when we'll go away from the community, the population density of the species of an outgoing community decrease as we move away from the community of the ecosystem. Okay, so this is an example of ecotone. So this is example of the marshland ecotone, which is a transitional ecosystem between the land ecosystem and the aquatic ecosystem. So as you can see in this picture, this is the transition zone. So this one is the transition zone, this is the aquatic ecosystem, and this is the land ecosystem. Okay, so this is the ecosystem 1, which is land ecosystem, and ecosystem 2 is the aquatic ecosystem. And the ecotone, the marshland, is an intermediate stage that contains some characteristics of both the ecosystem, that is the transitional ecosystem. Okay, so next we'll discuss about the edge effect. So what is the meaning of edge effect, or you can see the excuses we will find. So it is a tendency for increased variety and density at community junctions. So it is obvious thing that when there is the intermediate stage, that is the mixture of two communities or two ecosystem, there will be the variety will be more, the variation will be more, and the density also will be more. Okay, so it was coined by Aldo Leopold. Or sometimes the number of species and the population density of some of the species in the ecotone is much greater than other community. This is called the Edge effect. Okay, so suppose in the grassland ecosystem some species are in, suppose a species population is more, and in aquatic ecosystem the bee species population is more. So here it is saying sometimes the number of species and the population density of some of the species, it's not particularly A or B, it could be A or B. Some of the species in the ecotone is much greater than other community. Okay, so this is called as the Edge species. So the organisms which occur primarily or most abundantly in this zone are called the Edge species. Okay, and in the terrestrial ecosystem the Edge effect is especially applicable to birds. Okay, why it is applicable to birds? Because in the terrestrial ecosystem the population density of that species and the ecotone is much greater than other community. Okay, so for example the density of birds is greater in the mixed habitat of the ecotone between the forest and desert. So in comparison to the forest or the desert, in the mixed habitat, that is a transition zone or the intermediate zone, in that particular area the birds species is more, and that is called the Edge species, because in that particular area or the Edge area the population density of that bird is much greater than the other community. Other community means the individual forest or the desert species is there, but in the ecotone or the intermediate or the transition zone the bird species are more. So Edge effect is nothing but the effect where the population density of some species are more in the ecotone or the transition area as compared to the individual species, that is for example terrestrial or aquatic, or the in case of terrestrial ecosystem it could be forest or desert. In intermediate stage the birds species are more. So here the A species will be bird, which is mostly found in the intermediate gene or the mixed habitat, that is the ecotone or the transition state. Okay, so this is all about the ecotone or the Edge species. So ecotone is the transitional area between the two biomes or the two terrestrial or the aquatic ecosystems, and Edge effect is the effect where the some species will be, the density will be more in that particular intermediate ecotone area, and that species is called the Edge species. For example, in the terrestrial ecosystem the birds are called as the Edge species. Okay, so this is all about an overview of the ecotone and the Edge species. If you like this video, hit the like button, share with your friends, and do not forget to subscribe this channel. Thank you.